You're like,
It is 1:09, we are back from break and we will continue with preliminary decisions continue. And Robin, handing it back to you.
Thank you, Commissioners. We are going to return to REIT now, and I'm gonna turn it over to Romero.
Wait a minute.
REIT 2.
You're going back to read 2.
Yep, we're gonna look back and resolve the REIT 2 questions. So back to this.
So I will ask you to focus only on the original spreadsheet. Please disregard the revised.
One with P. Rossetto in the.
Okay, so we're going to read.
Your name all over it.
Sorry, are you there?
I have it open, yes.
No, I was asking for.
I'm here, I'm ready.
I have 2 pages stapled together, is that right?
Mhm.
Read 2. Okay.
Just making sure that we have the same document.
Read 2.
So, and again, please disregard the revised, read 2, because we were working on 2 this morning. So out of the original. So just go down the line, and this is the proposed revisions to the plan. So I can have you down to the western, Chicago's Western Trail Rehabilitation Program. The
Oh,
trail,
not culvert repair.
no, just go that trail,
Keep going
trail
down.
surface rehabilitation program.
Restroom.
No, the rehabilitation program, the next one down. The trail surface rehabilitation program.
How far down are you?
About
Just about here.
2/3 of the way down the page.
Just about here. The title is the trail surface rehabilitation program.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You there?
You said western.
No, below the Chicago's Western.
Okay,
Fine.
got it.
The proposal is for 2023 to be 100,000. In 2024, 25, 26, each at 200,000.
Okay, I guess I'm not even close to what you're talking about.
Okay.
Mine says 10,279 for 22. 39,000 for 23.
Okay, and then I'm
So,
doing something completely different.
so the original, I'm going with the original. For me, this what you have and it's probably
P.
the
Rossetto.
revised. This is the revised. That you have an original.
So I need to find my original.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we give you the.
You think it's here? No, maybe right here, read 2. Yeah, got it. Okay, sorry about that. Here we
And
go.
200,000
The original.
Okay.
Okay,
instead of what they have here.
I'm with you. Okay, so the proposal
Did
is
you find it?
There is a
Got the
need,
document.
there's a need to rehab the trail surface.
So on this trail surface rehab program, they currently have 25,000 a year.
I see that. Are you on
And
the first page?
Romero is proposing to go 100,000 in 23 and 200,000 a year in each year after that.
And that's because of Mr. Lazar's
No,
public
I
testimony.
think there is a need because the $25,000 will do absolutely nothing to rehab the pavement on the trail.
Okay, so this is just kind of a,
So, and then if, I will ask you if you're okay with that because I have a couple more
I
line
need
items.
you to mark that on here. Mark what you're talking about. Which one?
Trail rehabilitation program
Okay, I see it now.
here.
Got
100, 200.
it, okay.
somebody else wants this in.
Okay.
okay,
Next is going down to the trail connectivity program. The next line down, the proposal is to keep the $2 million in 2023 and add $1 million in 2024, $1 million in 2025, and $1 million 2026.
So that becomes an
no.
ongoing project.
Mine has 500,000.
Trail connectivity,
Yeah.
the next one down. May suggest
It's right above 2 million. Okay, I got 2 million, but just in one spot.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Do you guys do this? You just put these out like this so we can't follow the lines?
So the proposal is leave the 2 million and $1 million more in each year.
Okay. Each one of those have 1 million more.
So then we don't have to wring our hands about the trail program, because we're gonna get them all done.
And that it will give, it will give the board the opportunity to prioritize those connections as you move along.
And then we're gonna go to, after this year, 200,000 a year for trail surfaces, you said?
The next revision proposal, you see the next line is the overlay 2019. That title needs to change, actually, it's preservation for county roads. To have $1 million, period, 2020, no, in each year.
$1 million a year.
Okay, and I have 700,000 showing, is that what I've got to start with on that?
I don't
And
know.
yes,
Yeah, in
yes,
2021.
there was 700,000 in 21,
Oh, okay.
then you got $1 million in 23,
Okay.
and we change every year after that to $1 million.
Which line are we at?
Okay, so not
It's
1.5.
the overlay
2019.
2019 is the title on
Yeah.
it, but it's the overlay
So the
for
one
roads.
shows 1 million and then 1.5, 1.4.
Yeah.
Reduce that to $1 million every year, on each year.
Just $1 million?
And then 26, it says 2.
Yeah, that to $1 million.
Oh, that gets knocked back to 1 million?
Yeah, that's the proposal. So $1 million on each year.
Primera, were you going to take the 500,000 a year out of the reserve for future parks?
And go back to the line item to the reserve for future parks and trails project,
Yeah.
eliminate that line item because that rolls back into the previous line.
So that's gone completely?
Yeah.
And that was 500,000?
Yeah. The next page. Sorry, to the next page. On the fish passage enhancement, line item. In 2024, reduce that from 2 million to 1 million.
Just one lot, just,
Only in that year.
And that year to supplement the additional $2 million on the country club project that you have done.
So it's 1 and 3, not 2 and 2, or is it
It's 1 and 2.
1 and 2?
And also eliminate the 2 overlays line items that you have followed the country club, the Pacific Avenue and the Young Highway, eliminate the 520,000 on both.
how come?
Both of those lines?
Because they have an overlay program up above, and they also, the road fund has capacity to have a robust overlay program.
So those are the changes that we are
Those are the
recommending.
changes. So we'll get it revised, too complex.
So just so I'm clear on the overlay, the road fund can pay for that, but at a certain point, we started using some REIT two to pay for that, and that's because why? The road,
Supplement, it's a supplement to allow them to do more miles.
but now the road fund is looking better, or are we, because we're, or what?
No, what we're doing is continuing the overlay program at $1 million a year, which is what you committed to in REIT two. Not $1 million a year plus these extra overlay projects.
Okay. $1 million a year. Originally, this was stepped up,
Yeah,
take more out of REIT two, but you're thinking we don't need to do that.
and then even more.
And the objective, and I asked Jennifer to print the ended fund balance. I think we have an adequate ended fund balance for the board to make further decisions in the next meeting.
Okay. What does $1 million in a year, what does $1 million in a year do for overlay? How many miles?
Well, to answer that question, you need to also is how much the road fund contributes to the overlay. You know, I believe right now the overlay program, they're having between $3 and $4 million.
Why did we reduce 10 miles or something this year?
Reduction of the 10 miles, it was because we got up to the limit of the expenditure authority included in the budget.
Did that have to do with the price of oil?
It was the price of oil, so we were planning, what I think you're talking about is the chip seal, not the overlay.
Okay.
So we're planning to do 52 miles. The bids came higher than what the board approved in terms of expenditure authority. In that particular program, it was adequate to move around and reduce to 40 miles just to meet the expenditure authority. And it was a way to move forward because as a result of that process, we had other projects that you entertain a budget amendment. It was never related to the lack of capacity in the fund. It was just budget authority. So that's my proposal on the, in Jennifer's printing, so you can see the fund balance on this proposal.
So commissioners,
I'm good
Thoughts?
with it. I'm okay with that.
So we got 3 thumbs up for the revised REIT plan, and Jennifer's gonna show us what the fund balance looks like with that.
Hot off the presses.
So this is with the new numbers that Ramiro just went over.
So what it does, if you see that the fund balance gives you the opportunity to react to the what ifs, increasing in cost, materials and everything else. So you have capacity to react to that this.
What's that last column where there's a space and then there's?
How much time do you have to do that?
Oh, that,
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's,
Budget in
Oh, I thought you were talking
yeah,
about,
that's just
Ignore
kinda
that.
off to the side.
how much time
Yes,
do
please
we have
ignore
to
that.
fix that culvert?
2020.
24?
Mhm.
And what happens if we don't get that done? We get thrown in jail?
Well, I think
Oh,
I think our NPDES permit will be in jeopardy. We're not gonna get thrown in jail, but our permit
Stormwater
gets
jail.
affected. Our permit gets affected. Really, that's the point of it.
I have a question. So the 2024 compared to this one, we start looking better, but then 2025 and 2026, it starts going down. Is there gonna be a curve back up, or are we just gonna keep going down?
That is going to depend on the decisions you make for the ensuing biennium. And we'll be watching the revenue. This revenue, just like REIT one, because they collect exactly the same amount, we're anticipating it's gonna drop over the next 2 years and then start to recover. So if we do better on the revenue, we'll be in a better position. If we don't do this well on the revenue, then we'll need to reassess what you've decided today.
If I may, you will have the opportunity to relook this plan when you prepare the biennial budget and move accordingly and adjust if you see that perhaps the fund is going down.
So what is, like on the trail surfacing, and I think that's great that we can, if we can do it, but like, it says here $2 million, is that a typo?
No.
In 2025? 100,000, 200,000, 2 million, 200,000.
Did I mess that
No,
up?
it's 200,000.
Which one?
The trail surface rehabilitation.
That's gonna make the fund balance look so much
That, okay,
better.
that
That's
makes,
what I'm hoping.
that makes more sense. It's 200,000.
Oh, in 25.
Yeah,
I was trying to count my zeros.
so is that gonna help the
Thank
fund
you for
balance?
Oh,
catching
yeah,
that.
that'll make it so much
So
better.
that makes the 25 fund balance $3.6 million and the 26 fund balance 3.4.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
okay.
did a
1.6.
steady,
Yeah.
that's better.
Sorry about that.
Will you reprint that?
Okay,
Can you fold this one? Please fold, please fold.
Just,
Please fold.
Yep.
Yeah, and we'll give you a revised.
all right. So we'll print that out for you and then, we will adjust the CIP to match the plan. Ouch.
All right.
Okay, so that's. All right, so
Such is life.
we can either now move to the hard things and then end the day with the simple things that won't affect the general fund, or we can knock out those simple things.
Let's go with the hard thing.
Let's go with the hard things, all right.
get it done.
Yep, good.
Just rip off the Band-Aid.
So, next, next up is the compensation. Because I think that you need to make a choice on what the compensation's gonna be, so you see how much room you've got to fill in with other things. And again, I'll show the screen. Oh, that means I need to sign into the Zoom.
I thought we were gonna keep that kind of generic or something.
Hopefully we can keep that conversation generic. Thank you for that.
Hard to do.
I know it's hard to do, but.
Yeah. Can you let me in, Romero? Thank you, Jennifer. And we'll work with Public Works to revise the CIP to match.
Okay.
That wasn't supposed to be like a sound like that.
All right, so I'm gonna share my Excel sheet. And remember, what we have here includes all decisions made to this point. And you've got quite a bit of capacity right now, mainly because this does not include, oh wait,
The risk pool in
yeah, hang on.
it's gonna be a knockout.
This is what it looks like with no COLA. The risk pool is in there. It is, it's there at 2 million in the first year. And then 700,000 coming out in the second year. Not all of that is ongoing. So, decisions made to date. No COLA for employees other than sheriff and corrections, and none of the other items in this last bucket, if you will. So, adding a COLA at 2.5%.
Which is items 1 and 2.
Yeah. Part 5.
Yeah.
Are you part 5?
2.5% looks like that. With no other policy items added.
I don't know, is this where you wanna have the discussion?
No, you have capacity for.
Yeah. But
Is that right?
tell me this, if
2.5.
the unit, maybe the bargaining units don't sell. So, it goes on and on. And
Can you
And
redo
we
the
haven't
exercise?
adequately addressed this.
It didn't
What
look
does that
like
become, an emergency out of the rainy day fund after that or something? I mean, I don't know how to address, how do you address what you don't have?
That has everything you've decided so far built in.
I think you may rephrase the question, please.
Well, things linger on, and we don't settle.
We'll settle the contracts, yeah.
And so we gotta go on about business, we have to certify the budget, all that.
Yeah, it continues on, what it
That's
gets,
what
it gets
nothing
is a,
Well, then, so what if it's an
And the-
outlandish
and the,
settlement?
and the in fund balance, and then you have a budget amendment to address that.
And that's how you do it, you do the budget amendment in January, February, whatever. It doesn't settle until then, is it? That's what you do?
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is put a baseline in terms of give you some, at least understanding of the capacity you may have financially.
Does that include ARPA, the ones that we just,
This is the.
The
see.
adjusted position is in there, I believe.
Yeah, the FTE swaps in there. Yes, it is. So this is at 2.5% with no other items funded. This is 3% with nothing else funded. That's what 4% looks like. And on the possibility of a bonus, currently what we have built into this budget, and I'm not suggesting you do this, this is the placeholder, is all county employees at $1,000 would cost $1,537,000.
Will you take the
Is it, yeah, is that,
sheriff and corrections?
is that taken out?
Right, so if we take out the sheriff, deputies that got a bonus, the correction deputies that chose a
Sure, yeah.
higher COLA and no bonus, and the electeds, then a $1,000 bonus would be $1,286,000.
removing the electeds from that, right?
Yes,
Yes, okay.
we took out the electeds.
You may have capacity to.
If we did $2,000 per person, excluding sheriff and correction deputies and electeds. Then the bonus would be, 2,577,000 out of the 3 million in lost revenue that you have. So you'd still have about 400,000 left to do something else, if you should want to at any point in time over the next 2 years.
How about 1,500, 1,500?
1,500 would cost just under 2 million. And it leaves $1 million in your pocket.
You don't need to decide at this point. right?
Yeah, a lot of that's gonna depend on the
We
bargaining.
need to know how much to put in the preliminary budget.
My
So they do
suggestion will,
need to-
my suggestion would be to put a $1,000 assumption on the potential bonus.
What's wrong with going back and doing a budget amendment when it happens, at a later date next year?
No, but I think Robin's
Because
correct.
it will be after
We
the
need to
fact.
publish the budget, at least a baseline.
Okay.
So I need to know how much to put in the preliminary budget that you put out for public review. And then you need to make final decisions in December
I would say 1,500
for the bonus.
for the bonus
That's the baseline?
as a baseline, and whatever gives us the availability. But I don't know, I'm just one vote.
I have to say, I wanna treat the employees well. But if I'm gonna have a starting point, I guess, and I was gonna pick a number, maybe 1,000 rather than the 1,500, just to give us wiggle room and room, it's a lot easier to negotiate up from 1,000 than it is from 50. It's just from a negotiating standpoint, that's all I'm saying. If you start off too high, you don't have any negotiating room. I don't know, that's my position.
You can settle a contract at whatever level
Sure.
you choose.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Regardless of what your budget is. I would recommend to you, though, that anything over, if the bonus were any amount over 2,000 and the COLA is any amount over 3%, that offices and departments would have to absorb the amount above that and by making other reductions in their appropriated budget.
But if that comes to pass, then your ending fund balance for that year is affected.
So the reversion will be a lot
So-
less.
It'd be a lot less.
Yeah.
So I'm
There's something
more,
to think about.
I'm more interested in the COLA than I am the bonus, because in terms of my decision making, because that affects the long-term forecast a lot more. So I guess I'm hearing county manager saying 3, I'm seeing 2.5 on the paper. I mean, that's where I'm more concerned where the board's gonna land. If we're saying 2.5 and then the question's 1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000, I'm flexible on the bonus. I'm more curious what my seatmates are gonna willing to say on the COLA.
Here's my
As a baseline.
concern, my concern on the COLA, from that point on, it's an ongoing expense that's always elevated up.
Exactly.
Where, if you do a bonus, even though it's equivalent, it's a one-time expenditure.
So you're with me on 2.5 then?
Well, I'm.
It's not, the county manager's saying 3, and I'm very uncomfortable by that based on what Robin showed me
No, I
in the
think
draft.
you could have capacity. My suggestion is the baseline to be $1,000 potential bonus at 2.5%.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
But Commissioner Mejia has a different opinion.
Unless somebody makes a better case. I mean, the class and comp's coming, which is supposed to tell us, everybody's been talking about leaving some capacity to address that. If you COLA everybody's baseline up, you're just basically, you're limiting your ability to respond to the class and comp study. nobody wants to reduce anyone's salary, that's not where we wanna be.
So how about for now, I set this at 2.5%. We can go through the rest of the list, see how what you all say yes to affects this graph, and then revisit the COLA.
Sure.
All right. So we are on part 5 of the
So
general.
is that, is what we looking at, $2,500 and $1,000?
Yes, it doesn't matter what you set the bonus at, it will not affect this graph because we're gonna pay the bonus out of ARPA,
Oh, okay.
out of the lost revenue.
Yeah, so that is, going back,
One time.
One time out of ARPA. All right,
it's the same as the salary revisions, you made a decision earlier, you decided to leave some capacity for 2024.
so we're gonna,
Which does
But we were
affect-
showing that moving over, and even though it's one time, it still has a small effect. So I'm just asking, it's in there, those decisions are in there.
yes,
Okay.
currently. All right, so the next item on the list is animal services. It's increasing by $95,000 a year.
This is a maintenance level.
It is a maintenance level item, we're gonna have to pay it, that's gonna be the bill, unless you decide to not, once again, not do 100% to animal services.
You know, I'm just gonna make a suggestion on that, I'm probably gonna go with the chair. You're still on that board, right?
Do you want to be on it next year?
No, I didn't what I said. No,
Any on which ones?
I was just gonna say,
Number 24.
I would like to explore what it would take, based on what our commitment is to this process now, to contract with Young to do animal control for us at a cheaper rate.
Yale has requested to join the animal service.
Oh. Okay, well, that's new. Okay, I'll forget that idea.
And I think you can concur with that, Commissioner, when you sit in that board. I mean, CEO Young has requested to be part of the joint animal service.
They have
Luxury pet
requested,
tax,
they have requested to be a part of it, and
I marked that pretty good
I
on
think
it.
it's coming up on
There.
their budget process this year.
they're in the process of negotiating, so that's why I hadn't reported, because they're in the process of negotiating.
Sorry to burst the bubble, Commissioner.
Happens to me quite often, I'm quite used to it.
95,000 for animal services, thumbs up.
I don't think we have a choice.
I don't think
You do have a
1, 2,
choice,
3.
but-
Okay, so that's a yes.
We just flipped, well, we're in a contract,
We
we'd
are,
have to pull out of what we just reversed last year. I
You
mean,
know, I'm sure.
It isn't practical.
the next item is extending the end date for the racial equity program, senior program manager by 1 year. It's $144,000. It does come back on the indirect rates 2 years
60/40?
from now. Yep, right.
Well, my position, nothing against the person in the position, because I would say that we could roll over, put in a lot of other positions. But I just don't see that as my biggest priority. I don't know that we have a problem per se. I just have not been exposed to a problem. We gave a run at it. I don't know if it's fixing anything or not, but we've got some people here that maybe have a differing opinion, and I'd like to hear what it is.
So
Or if there's a
out
problem.
of all of the items on this list, this ranked the highest.
Okay.
By you.
I'm gonna
Ranking the-
say yes, we just felt like we just got started on it. It took us a while to hire someone, get someone in the position, get them up to date. And for me, it's an extension by 1 year. It's not gonna, can we see If we were to say yes, what it would,
I'm not be able to tell it on this.
I think,
You saw it.
If it were
Did you
considered,
see it move?
Yeah.
So,
See, look at the last
is this
year.
for just one year?
just 1 year.
so this would just go out 1 year?
Yeah, because it's December
I'd like to
2023.
know,
It's
I'd
considered
kinda like to know what
somewhat
the
of a-
problem is.
a
I guess I
one-time.
live in a sheltered world.
Because the decision on ongoing, I think it will give us another year to assess the overall program and the upcoming biennium decision, then the board, depending on the results, will determine if it's a long-term commitment or.
I mean, if we didn't have this position, we would not be able to continue our council work and,
But we just appointed people to.
I mean, yeah,
Oh,
that's.
that, it would have to be that volunteer group would have to go away?
Well,
Because the person who's holding that, I don't want to use names here, holding this position is facilitating that.
and basically helping with the agendas and
Yeah,
so,
okay.
and that's where I'm just really,
Okay.
I mean, I understand how tight we are at this point, but it's almost to me like a commitment we've made that we need to see this further through and.
At some point,
It's
I'm gonna
also
have to
just
go.
one time, like unless we're, next year we can
Because I don't
plan on
see
the
it.
long
Maybe
term,
we can
but this
attend
is
the
just
Friday
1 year.
meetings.
I am.
For 1 year.
Some of those might do lunch.
All right,
They
so
come in, they-
thumbs, I see
Oh,
1,
Yes.
2, 3 thumbs up. All right,
It's a need to fix that is at one time.
yeah, I've got that changed to a one time. Yeah.
3 up.
Then next is the ER&R, as you saw in the ER&R maintenance fund, I have a fund balance problem, and in the future, I've adjusted the rates, but I need 300,000 to get us over this year. I am going to recommend that you say no to the proposal in front of you, and instead, please say yes to a simple $300,000 transfer from ER&R reserve to the ER&R M&O, and be done with this.
That's pretty easy.
That
There you
helps
go.
me, because I was really struggling.
Thank you, so 3 thumbs up for that, perfect.
But before, I hope you touch base on the pretrial.
So I don't have the pretrial, let's put that on the short list. I'll add that to the short list.
I don't want to forget that conversation.
Okay. We won't, we'll come back to that. Okay, so next item on this list is the increased money for the sheriff's medical services contract. They will give up 400,000 of costs that they currently have allocated for beds, contract beds, and divert that, but they still need another 262,000.
We don't have a choice.
I don't think we have a choice
I
in
don't
that
think
either.
you have a choice either. 1, 2, 3 thumbs up. Parks and
That
Trails,
was a good reaction.
Just,
Parks and
Yeah.
Trails,
I mean,
I
I'll
said,
just tell you I'm done, so you can.
down.
okay, I got 2 thumbs down to Parks and Trails,
It's
additional
not that
FTEs.
I don't see the need, but I would just,
I understand, but this is the whole point.
Yeah.
There are hard choices that need to be made. So the next item is for the data and business applications management in public defense. 1, 2, Gary?
I thought we already did this one.
Nope, you talked to Patrick about it and about the need, but you didn't say yes or no to the money. So I see 2 thumbs
What- okay,
down.
what's the return gonna be here? What are we gonna end up with? There's nothing here that's mandated that we're missing the boat on something here, is there?
It's operational needs.
Yeah,
It's similar to the business analyst for the
I'm with my seat page.
Amanda
Down, 3
for
thumbs
environmental
down.
health.
So that's a no. Now we're
is there
gonna,
not like someone in IT that can assist them with it? Because there's a need there, but we just, I don't know how to, like, help them, right?
I want to consolidate the prosecutor and but somebody said that's a conflict of interest. I don't necessarily believe that it's a conflict. Maybe that's.
Maybe we can further explore that next year.
Huh?
Maybe the new IT director can further explore that concept next year.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, I think that there's, I don't know, I mean, when we had that meeting, I kind of wanted to explore that a little further about the conflict, because it seems to me that if the IT person signs an agreement.
He shouldn't have an
basically
axe
says
one
they
way or the
cannot-
other.
They will not access any files and, they will not, I mean.
Share.
They will not, I mean, like, I think you can probably get around that some one way or the other.
We did it on the garbage contract.
Yeah, we all of us signed that
Everybody that was
confidentiality
involved signed off and said, we're not gonna sneak stuff to the media or whatever the plan was.
Okay, so we can
So,
explore that
I'm with-
more,
I'm with my seatmate on
but
that.
right
We
now
need
it's
to figure that out.
3 thumbs down to this request. The next item is the support for Patterson Lake. So a proposal is on the table, to move the lake management districts out of that's not this, but we're gonna move out of Public Works to CPED. If we did that, we could take the one FTE that is currently 60% funded by the lakes and 40% funded by noxious weeds. If we take that FTE, move it to CPED, the person could be 100% lakes, and the 40% that used to be for noxious weeds could support the Patterson Lake startup. They would still need some money to pay that 40% in 2023. So the commitment would be a one-time commitment from the general fund for approximately $60,000. That would get you over the year until the Lake District started generating its own revenue.
When is that gonna be?
That would be in 2024.
Did we have testimony last night on that or night?
Yeah.
Was it last night? And there's not a way to get to where they wanna be, is that what I'm hearing?
No, there's no-
Did anything come of this double fee business or double collection?
See, there is a allowable, I think it's allowed to.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of feedback we
talked about that initially here somewhere.
could they do
Yeah,
a double fee.
the attorney said the county can collect assessments for both 2023 and 2024 and 2024. I mean, that can be part of your.
But what did the community say about it?
We haven't got the chance to really reach out to the community. At least the staff hasn't got the chance.
So
I don't know what their reaction is.
So this is just, this isn't, is it off at Lake this next, right? And they're not here yet, they're not to this point yet, or?
No, but we
don't know.
think that one FTE would have capacity to cover all the
So
lakes.
full-time.
One full-time FTE doing nothing else. Maybe they'd have enough for all the lakes.
For
So we- so
the
we-
three for now, is that it, 3 for now?
Yeah, it'd be 3 for now, and when
And then
off
one more
it,
come.
then
You
you,
have a public hearing on Alpha Lake next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, okay. Well, I'm
I will not be here, by the way.
I'm very much in favor of doing lake management issues, whatever it takes to cooperate and meet the commitment of the RCW that created lake management districts back in 1986. I think if you read the intent of that legislation, it's for government entities like the county to work with communities to solve the problem. And that's where I'm at, so.
so I'm gonna ask in 2 parts. Is the board in favor of moving the lake management out of Public Works to CPED?
Well, I am. I mean,
Yes.
That's one position. I mean, I'm going along with the county manager's proposal, if that's what you're asking. Is that what you're
I
asking?
am asking that.
I was, but I got an email from Lake Lawrence, Mr. Halverson, who said if he doesn't get the money reductions that he's seeking, he will deem the movement to CPED as yet another violation of county trust. The whole point of doing it is to enhance and buttress and support greater trust between. So if it's already being perceived from the get-go as the opposite of what we intend and being used as leverage to try to force us to make more financial concessions that the board hasn't decided on, then I don't know if I support it. I mean, it sounds like we're just digging a bigger hole. I've tried desperately to do everything to get out of this hole we're in with the lake management districts, and everything we do just makes the hole bigger.
Kind of like trying to get out of quicksand.
Yeah, exactly. And my interpretation of the email I got is that this decision that I'm being asked to make right now is just gonna make the quicksand deeper. And I'm not interested in that.
Have you had any discussions with anybody?
I did have a conversation with Doug Carmen. He seems to be amicable to the idea. I briefly had a conversation with Mr. Halverson over a week ago. He, at that point, seems to be open to the idea, but based on that email that all of us received, seems to be a little bit different perspective.
Well,
And he, yesterday to me, in between breaks, he stated that perhaps that's not a good idea to move other programs. So,
well, to move out of public works, not a good idea. Well, I'm just gonna say, I know things are very scratchy right now. I'm trying to figure out a way to overcome that. That's all I'm doing. And I know you did have a conversation with Mr. Harmon, right?
so my proposal really was an attempt to, looking for a reset button on that relationship. As I stated to both, that relationship is high. The staff is frustrated. The lake management district leadership is frustrated. Trying to find this restart button just to continue having those conversations with new leadership, at least from my home perspective, was a way to move forward. But based on the feedback that all of us received, I don't know what to say about
Well,
that.
here's what I'm gonna throw out there. I'm in favor of doing whatever it takes here, making the move to what you had proposed. We lost a good employee. I'm not gonna lay fault anywhere, but we lost a good employee because things were not working well as they are today. And that's why I want to get this thing back on track. I think we really missed the boat by losing her. And I think the Lakes community think it was quite a loss as well. So maybe any move, maybe it's human nature to object to change and things are maybe a little bit what's around the next corner, and they don't know for sure, but I think it will be a good step as far as from a goodwill perspective to make an attempt to get us back on track. That's kind of where I'm at.
Chairman Hand?
I'm incredibly frustrated. Because I know with the two existing LMDs, there was already history with Public Works, so I was looking for that kind of reset button. How can we better the relationship? Same as you, Commissioner Edwards, how can we start fresh? Start this relationship anew and see where we can restart, and get back on track, right? On what it is that lake management districts are supposed to be focusing on, which is, you know, the health of the lake, but it's turned into a mudslinging, and the next area of frustration for me is I'm seeing this exact same trend from two lake management district proposals. I mean, because they're currently not lake management districts, there's no current ordinance to set them as lake management districts. So seeing this from Pattison and Uffett Lake doing the mudslinging as well against Public Works,
Can I jump in there?
and
Okay. I'm sorry, you paused.
And, you know, and I asked this question quite clearly, you know, if there's this distrust of staff, then why do you want to keep working with those staff, right? Like, why? There are other options out there, and then we got that email from Mr. Halverson, and I just feel like it keeps going back to square one. And of course, there's some things I'm amiable on changing, but there's some things where I've been making a lot of calls to other commissioners across the state who have lake management districts to see how their programs work, and trying to get that information and that comparison. And, you know, I gotta give it to our staff. I think they're doing a great job, and I just don't want to move the problem around from department to department. Because in a sense, we're not really, it's not, you know, it's not gonna really be working if we're gonna be doing that. So I was in favor of the proposal. I thought it could be a way to reset, and it seems like from the email that the lake management districts are not in support of it. So I honestly don't know how to move forward.
I don't either. It's gonna be a failure, I can tell you from that email. If you don't give us the cost reductions that we're asking for, this is gonna be deemed as a violation of trust with the Lake Management District. When we came at it, starting with the county manager, I wanna give him the credit. He came at it and we supported it as a measure of good faith to reset the relationship, but it's not being interpreted that way. So why do it? That's just putting extra, like you say, Commissioner Mejia, is just putting that conflict onto another staff member who we might lose because of the friction. And again, not pointing fingers, but that we know that the relationship hasn't been smooth and hasn't been working well. So for whatever reason, I don't know that shifting it, if it's not gonna be perceived as a good faith measure to reset, that's the 100% of the intent, then why even make the change?
Yeah, as a result of that the reset button no longer applies.
Yeah.
Because we're already in the defense. And that's my word, so. Okay.
Okay, so
I'm sorry,
we're,
Oh, no, I want to jump in, I get to say
oh,
something.
please.
Did I get to say something, Chair? I think we've shot ourselves in the foot, myself, on this whole thing. I'm gonna refer back to how others around the state do it, other jurisdictions, whether it's the funding mechanism or whether or not they help the districts. I'm gonna say, I would hope that all parties have read the RCW that was created, and I believe it was 1986, I don't have that stuff in front of me. And along with that RCW was the intent of the RCW to help citizens take care of this problem, and the problem being lakes and water quality. And it doesn't mandate anything, but it offers the ability of the citizens to work with their local government to solve problems. Right off the bat, one of the earlier complaints that came in, and I believe this came from our water supervisor folks out at Public Works, was how the Lakes community, and I think this had to do with Lawrence Lake, had called and got somebody to come from ecology, and they were trying to mandate what chemicals were gonna be used and which were not, and how they were gonna be applied. In my follow-up with our past employee, that is not at all the way that happened. That she was involved, or that person was involved with it, and it was strictly information sharing. And that ecology likes to participate in those type of things to explain why this, why that. At no time was the county placed in any kind of a liability situation. And I think that it was mentioned that 10 times the liability, no, the county was placed in liability like 10 different times because of this interaction with the lakes management folks. That, and then I don't know how this came up, but as this rule book is put together, right off the bat, okay, I don't know how many stipulations there are in this lakes rule book, but this came apparently from our folks without any input from the lakes folks. And one of the major issues was you can have 5 people on your lake management district to be selected by the district itself, but you can only serve 2 years on the district. That was the dumbest thing I can ever imagine a bureaucrat proposing to a community. We've got people on both Long Lake and Lawrence Lake that have been there well over 20 years, dedicated to doing everything that we profess we are interested in, which is environmental issues. That's all they do. When they talk about they use more chemicals, some people come in and say, oh, you're using more chemicals. Oh, well, yeah, the poundage might have been more, but there was less chemicals, and the inert product was clay, for an example. And the poundage adds up, and the clay sinks the algae to the bottom of the lake. So I don't know where those rules came from, but when they were put together and supplied to the lakes folks, it just ruined the pie or the cake or whatever you want to refer to it as. It soured everything. That was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. We had other issues several years early on when we transferred to Public Works, and then the indirect cost things and stuff were picking up. There was a transmission, I think, that went out on a vehicle, and they were being charged for it. It was the county employee driving the vehicle who didn't check the fluid in the transmission or whatever it was. And I think we eventually made that whole to the Lakes Management District where that was taken from. Anyway, I really think it is important to see what other folks are doing around the state. I'll say that those lakes, and I don't know if there were 4 lakes groups here last night to testify or not. Was there one from, was it Pattison, Offutt? I don't think anybody was here from Long Lake.
Just Pattison.
Okay, but we've got 4 lakes districts that are now very soured on interacting.
We have 2, and we have 2 proposals, which I don't know if I'm gonna be
Well, okay,
supporting.
that's up to you guys. If you don't wanna create those districts, that'll be your thing, that's okay. But we've got 4 communities that are very upset with the direction that they feel they're the point, or the point of the spear is at them, I guess, that from the county saying they are the bad guys, they are the trouble. I don't know most of those people. I've known, I would guess I've known Frank Hootie, the commander, the longest. But I'm not in tight with all those folks, and they just come on as you guys are the bunks. And I don't think we want that as, when I talk about trust in the community, there's a big piece of trust out there. There's probably 1,000 people in those areas that have no trust in us doing the right thing. I want to do the right thing and make it work, whatever it takes.
So with all due respect, if the citizens of the lakes want control of the lake management districts, they have an option that leaves the county completely out. And they can control their own destiny.
I don't think it leaves the county.
Special district.
Well,
Special districts, much like
You also
Black Lake.
received the testimony from the Black Lake Special District yesterday.
Yeah, and he was happy.
And
Special
So maybe that's
district.
the answer to happiness, form a special district.
Yep, not
When you don't work
county
with the county,
rendition.
you're happy.
Exactly.
So why
Well,
push this, I don't understand.
well, I mean, we'll find out.
And Pattison,
when we take a vote on it.
Pattison, when I met with the Pattison leadership, I apologized to them that they were really upset that it took so long, and I said, you were the victim of sorts of a kind of a fractured county relationship with our current LMDs, and we had to work those things out. Those were the administrative rules. It really wasn't, it was us trying to get things wrinkled out before I remember saying it at a meeting, like, I'm not willing to consider new LMDs until we can work, and so Tim went and tried to work out some ground rules. Now, I agree with you on how many terms and who said, and Ramiro can back me up. First thing I told him was, I think we can completely rewrite that part of it.
I'm in the process of reviewing that.
I think the
Those will be
lake
out.
management districts are right about that. I think there were several bones that we could throw, so to speak, on those admin rules. They weren't perfect. And maybe they should have had input. I don't, that's a process thing. But I'm good with all of that. But the whole point was to get the whole point was not to point any fingers it was to basically iron out some wrinkles before we embarked on 2 new relationships with 2 new LMDs. So I'm speaking to Pattison, their leadership team said, we get that, we understand, we're really frustrated, but we understand why you did what you did, we hear what you're saying. And I told him, I looked him straight in the eye and said, I'm gonna support you, but you gotta tell me you're gonna work with us on these rules, and we understand the relationship, we certainly, it's not unilateral, you can tell me what you think, but ultimately, I don't want the continued friction that we've had with the 2 existing ones as I'm now putting county resources into 2 more. And they said, absolutely. And then it's literally within 60 days, they're here with the other lake management districts echoing the same frustration before we've even got started, in direct contradiction to what I was told, to the conversation that we had before they basically changed my vote to support the process going forward. So I feel a little bit, I won't say betrayed, but I feel a little uncertain about, those conversations that I had. And, it really starts to feel like we've got a problem, it's unresolved. We're just about to add 2 more bricks onto that same problem, hill. And I don't know if that's the right thing to be doing.
Well, I want to follow up on one comment, and that is on the rules, on the administrative rules, however we're going to refer to those as. But I really, saying that maybe they should have had input, it couldn't be farther from the truth. If they didn't have input, we were immediately souring the pie, and they've never had any input.
The one thing that led me to want to see that was when we were told that one of the lake management, I don't remember which one, had called the contractor and scheduled a meeting and was changing the parameters and the terms of contract without county staff even knowing. So right there, I was like, okay, I don't know how many rules we need, but I know we need at least 1. And that needs to be crystal clear. And that doesn't need input from the Lake Management District. We can, I think, as a county that bears a liability on that, say, that's not how this relationship works.
Okay.
We're a partnership,
I gotta respond to that.
please.
That is an outright lie by our staff that that was a problem. That was not a problem. That was our staff exaggerating. Not only did they say that they were trying to do all this, change the rules and the product and whatever else is being put, they exaggerated it. That I think we were 10 times we were exposed to liability.
Okay, but if that's not
And they were
happening,
lying. Ask Paula. Paula was there.
then what's the problem of having a rule? If it didn't even happen anyway, what's the problem of just laying that out, black and white?
Well, probably nothing, except they were being accused they'd done something that they did not do. And that's how come we don't have that employee here today. We've got a problem
Okay,
in
I
our
will-
own staff.
I think it was more than that when Paula left the county. I had my interview with her.
I had my
There's a
interview
lot,
with her too.
but
I did too.
but to just narrow down to that particular issue as a pivotal point.
Oh, I'm not
actually,
saying that's the only
that's-
issue.
That is absolutely not correct, with all due respect, Commissioner.
I'm gonna say we got lied to. I'm gonna say that in a public meeting. We got lied to by our staff. Whether that lie was through an omission or exaggeration, it nonetheless was a lie. And I hope they'll come on and try and defend themselves. I would love to have a little mini trial or something. I am totally fired up by, I believe that there's staff at the county that would just as soon we didn't do anything with lakes, and that nobody should even live on the lakes. We should all live in a condo in downtown Olympia. It ain't gonna happen, folks. Now that we've had the virus and everybody's figured out they can work from home, growth management is going to be adjusted to address that.
So I'm gonna ask that we please come back to the budget,
Yeah, so before
that
we
is
come
the
back
work
as
session for
a
today.
matter of fact, an update, the board directed me to bring a proposal as to how we can blend the administrative rules from the feedback they received from the lakes.
Okay.
So I'm planning to bring you a proposal in a couple of weeks. And at that time, the board asked me to send the new revised rules to review to the lakes. I will do so. But the direction that you give me is to try to find a blend between the two versions, and I will be presenting this to you in a couple of weeks.
So there's that. And I have heard from at least two, I think I heard from at least two commissioners, a no-go on moving from Public Works to CPED. So my next question is, does the board want to put any money in 2023? It would have to come from the general fund. Setting aside the concept of getting the money back, do you want to put any money in to start the work at Pattison Lake next year? Or just wait until they start collecting their fees in 2024?
My proposal was that the money would be loaned, and when I was heard that might be a problem, then we talked about the double assessment, so that it is effectively a loan.
Right.
That's what I was in 100% supportive of. If that's not on the table, then I don't know that we have money to put toward it.
I have a proposal on that. I would like to see the county spend the money on that staff person that would handle all the lakes, and they could start working on what needs to be done with those lakes without a large capital outlay.
Was that accomplished without a general fund impact, Robin? I can't remember.
No, there are no other funds that could, at
You were
this
talking about
point.
taking some of the money, or you led off this whole conversation by saying that this one, if we were to take the
If you were to
CP.
move, right. Now, if the FTE remains in Public Works, I think that you could give the direction that instead of charging 40% of their time, they could use that 40% on the new lakes.
Passing.
Yep, but you still have to somehow pay for them in 2023.
Robin, we're gonna go ahead and take a 5-minute break.
Okay.
It is 2:30 and we are back from break and we're gonna pick up with line item 12, 13, and 14, which is Patterson Lake Management District formation for $165,000. And Robin, I'm going to ask you, can you give us, what's the cost breakdown for that? Like what's included in that $165,000?
So, do you have
I actually have that one up and ready to go.
Perfect.
So it includes $55,000 for professional services, and that was getting the contract ready to figure out what they were gonna do. It includes the FTE part, and then some.
Or half.
Well, it includes a full FTE in this request. 90% of it would be coming from Patterson Lake, 10% would be coming from stormwater, and then includes like the some supplies and equipment to get the person started up.
I have a question about that. What's that 55,000 to get a contract ready?
So the
To
55,000,
the IBAN, to develop their program in order for them to start working on their lakes the following year.
And is there a big difference between Long Lake and Patterson Lake?
I believe they do have their own IBAN programs.
I thought that each lake was required to
They
have
have their IBAN.
And who develops that?
professional
At some point, a contractor developed that,
Is it the same contractor that would be doing application?
probably not.
And they can't use the prescription, if you will, from one of the other lakes, even though they run into each other somehow?
Well, I think the use of prescriptions and the treatment is just one element, as I understand of the IBAN. The IBAN plan, I can probably pull the IBAN for Long Lake so you can see what the components of that is.
I don't know, it seems like a lot of money to.
So we would need, how much is the professional services contract, Jennifer?
55,000.
So 55,000 to develop the plan for the lake. And then about 40% of the staff costs, which would be approximately how much for just I know it's fully loaded, but how much just for salaries and benefits?
So it would be $40,000 for the salary and benefits.
So you'd be putting in about 100,000 on the assumption that it's a loan.
But I thought we couldn't do that alone. We're married
You
to
just
do
kept
this.
saying that it'll never be caught up,
Well, unless they double bill in the next
So
year, they'll
the
constantly be
perspective from the
paying
attorneys
that.
is you could do it,
Oh, you can?
but
You
I
just
was,
haven't heard from the
I
community
haven't
less.
heard from the
On whether or
volunteers
not
with
they'd be willing to pay.
Well, then that's, I feel like that's
How do
I
we
would
make a
be-
decision?
I would be willing to move forward on it as a loan. And then with the contingency that they approve, if they say no to it, then the money doesn't go out. I mean, if they say, yes, we would wanna, move forward this way, then at that point, then,
And who would have the authority to say yes or no?
I feel like, isn't that what the steering committee is there to do outreach and?
That would be the steering committee for Patterson Lake.
So,
We could structure it like that. We could put in $100,000 to get things going on the provision or contingency that the Patterson Lake Steering Committee agrees to double assessment in 2024 and pays the 100,000 back. We could put in a proviso to that effect.
I can do that.
Okay, let's see if we
I
can make it
just-
work.
For me, it's, as Offit Lake is going through this process too, I don't want, and Lawrence Lake and Long Lake, when they reinstated, they had to, have this funding ready before they started. I don't want this to be almost like, not a gift of public funds, but, just, if there's not a way, and so,
Well, there won't be a loan until they figure out if they want it. That's the bottom line. This is just here for now. It's available.
Yeah.
We can,
Could you
That's right.
verbalize the proviso that you're thinking?
The proviso would be, authorize 100,000 for startup of Pattison Lake, staffing and development of the plan, provided the Pattison Lake Steering Committee agrees to double assessments in 2024 to pay back the general fund.
I just want to, that be clearly stated on this meeting, because they're watching.
Yeah, so there's no.
Right.
Thank you.
All right,
I was tracking on that, but thank you for
okay,
verbalizing it.
but no, that made sure I had all the pieces and staff caught it, and yep, no, that was good.
and then last year we set aside $10,000 for LMDs, for public works.
That is for
What-
healthy lakes, that's how you entitle that.
So, but that was for public works directly. There was one for
And they have-
environmental health.
They have done, I think there is a little bit, money left over, maybe 4,500.
Okay, I guess my proposal would be to add like another 10,000. Since LMDs are not moving out of public works for now, it seems, as we get at least the admin rules resolved.
So instead of 100,000,
No,
maybe
that's
110.
aside,
So it's 100, or 10,000 for what?
for the Healthy Lakes program. Since they,
They had, remember
did-
last year, the conversation was $50,000, the beginning conversation, to start working on the water quality for lakes. Was no problem.
Okay, oh, yes,
And then
yes,
they-
sitting in the general fund.
As part of the similar conversations, the board landed on $10,000 for healthy lakes, right? Which, at some point it was understanding whether that is to subsidize the 5,000, a bond and the creation of it. That conversation occurred. So the result of that, Public Works has spent, I believe, 6,000 on that. I'm just looking at the Healthy Lakes program. And it is money remainder, I believe 4,500. And we have a request by Pattison Lake to take the 4,500 and supplement the overruns on their 5,000 in the creation
For
of
the
it.
election costs.
Yeah.
for the election cost. My request would be to add an additional
To the
10,000
Healthy Lakes.
to the Healthy Lakes program.
Okay,
To do what?
As we're having 2 more LMDs on, I just want to make sure that.
just in case.
Just in case anything comes out of the woodwork, that at least that funding is set aside.
Like what? I don't understand what you're expecting will come out of the woodwork.
We had the Pattison Lake who's requesting their, the election costs. I'm sure there's gonna be a similar request from Offit Lake that's going to be coming.
Is that what we're gonna do?
I don't know, we haven't had that discussion yet. But if that's the way we decide to go, I feel like it's 10,000, it's not going to break the bank.
Yeah, I mean, this just goes back to the confusion last year. Like, I was the one that thought that money was for the bond and the election overruns. And then I was told that I was misremembering and that the discussion had evolved and it was really for like
Supporting.
amorphous like activities.
Okay, then let's
So
set
if we're gonna say that it's only for supporting formation costs, then I'm with you. If we're saying that it was for an amorphous amount, then I don't know that I wanna put more money toward an
Okay,
amorphous goal, because
Then-
I don't know what it's all about.
you worded it very nicely, thank you. So then let's do it for elections and
Formation costs.
formation costs, 10,000.
Okay.
So we have 10,000 there now.
It's
And we'll add-
4,500.
4,500 left.
How did we, what
We
did
have 4,500 left this year, but that was not one time.
It was a one time.
It was a one time?
Yeah, it was a
No, we have it in the base.
What is it?
It's 10,023 as well.
So we don't need
Yeah.
to add it.
Oh, so we
So
don't
you
need,
don't need that, so.
okay, perfect.
But I think the
Money's-
clarification that you just did is good.
So
Yes, that
can
will,
it be
it will be
used-
used
Does the
for,
5,500 that got used, did that get used for the election or?
it
what did we use
certainly
it for?
could be.
It all
No, you
depends
said there's 4,500 left, so we spent 5,500 on what?
on the healthy lakes.
Yeah, but what,
So what did that
doing
get,
what?
what did that get us, is what, I think that's the question, what did we end up with?
Yeah, I mean, is this gonna be a change to put the rest of it towards the same, or is that what we did with the first 5,500?
No, you didn't do that the first time. So, but I'll give you back as to what they have
What
spent.
we got out of it.
Yeah, got out of it.
But as we move forward with the 4,500 and then the 10 from next year, if we can add that language that Commissioner Menser stated for the formation of the LMDs
I
and,
can certainly put a proviso in that says that the 10,000 in '23 for Healthy Lakes is solely for the purpose of the formation of new lake management districts
To supplement the information.
to supplement the formation.
Do they still have to put the 5,000 up?
That's codified.
But
But
they
if
don't,
it goes
but
over,
it's
we can
supposed to
cover
be
it.
enough. The county's supposed to put up any more than
so
5,000.
Well,
that's,
that's what you're doing.
that's what we're
Yeah,
doing.
no, but that isn't what happened in one of these districts, something,
Yeah,
they
because-
were requested to
Because
do
the
more.
board didn't allocate additional funding.
So
If I-
that's
if
why
I
It goes back
may-
to, it goes back to you.
But Pattison Lake Steering Committee Chair said that she was, I think her public comment was, I was promised by Tim that anything over 5,000 would be covered by the county, and now we're finding out that's not the case. So that's what
I cannot attest.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Oh, that's
so
what she
for
said.
me, I guess the request
Well,
is
she said, but I didn't know if she, that's.
that 2,500 additional that they paid,
Oh, wait, oh, okay, go ahead.
the 25, the
You pay it back.
2,500, give it back to them, and then, from now, since they've already paid their 5,000, whatever other election costs, information comes from it to be taken out of the 1,450, and then as Offit Lake is going through the process, whatever goes past their 5,000. I just don't want the same issue to keep
And then, and us
recurring.
doing it inconsistently from lake to lake's not gonna be good,
Yeah, so that's
because then it seems unfair.
the proposal. Commissioners, thumbs up.
All right,
I do have one follow-up on that.
Oh,
I'll send an
sorry.
email to Jennifer saying that
Uh,
send it back.
On Pattison Lake, okay, you're saying send the money back to Pattison Lake, is that what you're saying?
That's what you
The
decided right now.
2,500, yeah, that was my
Okay.
proposal.
Okay, good enough.
okay. All right,
Do you have?
No,
so
I mean, just, I hope we get this fixed, because I don't think the folks that are asking for our help are the problem, to be honest with you. They're frustrated. Okay, good enough, thank you.
done. All right, moving on.
15.
Yep, the next item is additional funding for professional services for community planning to work on additional items on the docket. This was a whiteboard wish
I know.
list thing and
That was generated by
really
you.
don't have
But
that.
you just don't have, I don't know.
There you go.
For me,
I see one thumb down, two thumbs down. Commissioner Edwards,
They're getting through docket items fairly quickly right now. So props to community planning and economic development. We've seen several items on the docket come through.
I'm down, but this comes back to what I've been saying all along. The large developments would gladly pay to have the projects put through following all the rules of growth management.
Pay to play is
They would pay to
completely
play,
different
yes.
conversation that we can have in the ensuing biennium.
They've indicated they're more than willing to pay to play because time is money in the real world.
Right,
And there's
so,
nothing more frustrating, somebody trying to do something than to stand and wait.
So
so that's something I will ask
Okay.
my staff to start a list for the ensuing biennium and make sure, planning pay to play is on the list.
okay, so number,
All right? And you can ask me, I can explain it later.
next item.
The next item is District Court has asked that you fund a probation counselor FTE. We thought it would be paid from Blake. It turns out that we misunderstood their original request. They're currently absorbing it out of their appropriation, and it's impacting general fund. They are asking for $116,000 to fund this FTE and remove the end date.
Could this not be covered through the ARPA,
They're not doing it, that's the thing, is they're not working Blake, they're not working the backlog. That is not related to the backlog.
Well, they can rewrite their position paper for justification to where they are working
Well,
in
they-
some of those areas. They better do a little stretching.
Well, they're not working, that's the point of their request. Is since they're not working on that, to remove the end date as a result to supplement with the general fund because they have other plans.
I don't want it coming out of general fund, I'm not against,
General fund's your only option.
yeah, fine.
So I see a no. I see one thumb down.
at this point, yeah, no.
I understand it, but I just,
Two thumbs,
have the
three thumbs
Are
down.
you in the middle or?
No, I said I'm done.
He said no, but yep. All right, and then the last item on the list is two additional sheriff deputies at $489,000. Here's what it would look like if you said yes.
how about if we just went half?
By one, just one, by one.
Let me. That would be half.
Perhaps you have capacity to support one.
But this doesn't include the COLA, does it?
This does include a 2.5% COLA. Let me
Well,
just
that person
double check that.
might not be hired until
2.5%
we
COLA.
get through this.
So
The person might not be hired until we get through all this bonus or whatever we're talking about.
yeah,
Not until 2023,
yeah, the
right?
position will be available for the sheriff's office, so the position is January 1st.
Sheriff's office is getting a 4% COLA,
Right.
4.1%. So their salary will definitely be at the higher rate, no matter when they hire them.
This came from our list, and I know we want to increase our staffing level, but we have a lot of open positions.
Yeah.
And then I've sat through a lot of sheriff debates in this election campaign season. There's a lot of talk about, the focus is how to fill the positions that they have. Hoping the contracts that we did will help, and I want to keep flexibility for that. So we can get fully going with what we've already authorized.
Maybe you revisit this on the biennium.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think we need to revisit it, but I understand the need again is there, but I just,
All right, so if this is a
Revisit
no,
Well, I'd do one now and one later.
Okay, thank you
So
for realizing that.
one.
How about you two commissioners?
oh, can you go back, Robin, to kind of what it looks like before and then what it looks like after, sorry.
okay, here's none. Here's one.
It moved
Did it
right
move?
there, yeah.
It does move because it's expensive.
No, I didn't realize it moved. I didn't.
Yeah, it moved.
It moved.
5,000 you can't see, but this you can see.
Because it's compounding.
And then this is not something like where that one position could be covered by the road fund.
Yes.
There is justification.
You could,
You said
yes,
there
you
was more
could,
capacity.
you could divert additional road fund dollars to the general fund. We're currently at 1.5 million.
It's
In
1.8,
diversion.
1.8, I think it is.
Do what?
There's
I think at
justification
1.8.
right now.
We're at 1.5 for diversion, and we're at, 200 and. I wanna say we're
So
at
go back, there is
200,
capacity,
but yes, we
for
are
up to
definitely at
2.5
no more than
million.
1.5 for diversion. But it could handle up to 2 million. I mean, we're turning in costs of over 2 million. And if you added one or even two more deputies, let me see, if you added another 500. Well, let's see where I would add that in. If you added another 500,000 in diversion, that's with
Why
one,
500?
because that would cover two deputies.
I would recommend not to
Just
do that,
50.
commissioners.
No.
There's, to cover one deputy, 250.
But also,
And do it through diversion.
Yeah, but also it's counterintuitive because you
We're
also,
putting money back and then we're taking
because
back
you're
out.
taking back on the road levy shift. So it's counterintuitive, I believe, what the board goal have. So all, the two options are legal. Don't take me wrong. But if you increase the diversion, you reduce the road levy shift.
Yeah, but
There's no
the,
benefit to the road fund.
the concept though, I mean, if we could think about it as perhaps being a little more palatable for the diversion, because the diversion money has to be dedicated to the sheriff's road deputies.
Yeah, not traffic.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas the levy shift can be used for anything.
Weren't you explaining at one point when we were going through this about that the divert, like one of them, like the levy shift's coming across the whole of the county or something? And
That's right.
the diversion is only coming from,
Unincorporated county. So what it can pay for is only the patrol in unincorporated county. The levy shift, so if you think about the road levy, property tax levy that supports the roads, that is levied only on unincorporated county. When you do the levy shift, you say, instead of collecting $2 billion from the road fund, I'm going to collect it from the general fund. Then it's added to that levy, and the levy is, the rate becomes less because it's levied on everybody in the county, not only those in the unincorporated area. And it can be used for any legal purpose in the county. So it's spread across more people at a lower rate.
the shift.
The shift is, the diversion is at the higher road levy rate and only on unincorporated county. But the services are provided only in unincorporated county.
So there's,
So just don't make the shift. Just leave the diversion alone and just cut the reduction in shift in half.
That's one of the options that you
That
could
does
have.
cover it, doesn't it?
Can you bring back that, because right now, they, on the financial plan, they have a $250,000 reduction every year on the road levy shift. That's what you suggested,
Yeah, my
reduce that.
suggestion, we just postpone that complete amount.
That would be a one-time funding though.
Well, depends on
No,
how
it's
long you want.
compounding, once you pull it down, it's lower base in every year.
I mean, this really isn't even a midterm adjustment type of item, and I know it's gonna take next year to fill our funded positions. So I'm just not sure why we're not taking this up in the biennial next
And,
year.
and remember that, this generated by the board.
Right, that's what I make the point.
So-
The sheriff didn't come to us with this.
Well, they submitted,
Uh,
obviously, they
He would
submitted.
have, even if it had not been on your board.
But it was part
It
of your
would've still-
priorities when you laid that out, so.
What you're advocating for is to let them fill the shifts, let them fill the positions, and if he gets them full, which, what is there, 7 or 8 or something?
9, I wanna say.
Okay, you've heard the story.
Yeah, I mean,
more
there's,
than I have.
it's more than that, but a lot of them are like in academy now, or they're
Yeah.
on like medical leave or whatever. Like, I think there's like 9 that just like literally aren't filled.
So when he gets down to where, okay, I've got them all full except 2, can I get the authority to have another one so it'll fit right in with the progression?
That's what I'm thinking, but
Okay.
that's my thought process.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
So is that part of the biennial conversation? So you wanna delay this? I just wanna clarify what this conversation was. Delay
So
this
it's-
decision,
No, and then the sheriff can come in and ask for the biennium
As soon as he,
for however many he will.
Yeah. okay, that's what I wanted to clarify, what
At the
their
point at
conversation-
which he's close to fully staffed and, you know, I mean, then we can,
So you will give, the sheriff's office in 2023, we'll see how quickly they can fill those
Right.
current positions. And on the biennial request, then I'm sure you will receive additional requests for additional deputies. At that point, you will,
5, 6.
yeah, and then you will,
Who knows how many
then you
they'll
will,
come in
it's
with.
another decision point at that.
Right,
well, that's
Did
fine.
I ever realize that?
I think so.
Okay.
okay, so
So
this
no
is a
change.
no. All right. So with everything that you said yes to, it looks like this. This includes
That includes the deputy there, doesn't it?
no, I've taken the deputy out.
How come the line didn't change?
You blink.
I'd swear that line's supposed to be up a tiny bit more.
Nope, it would be up a little bit more if you changed
Okay.
the diversion or the
Wishful
levy
thinking.
shift. So this currently includes the reduction of the road diversion by 250,000 into 2023. And all the items that you just said yes to are embedded, and it includes a COLA of 2.5%. Just to look, 3% would look like this.
And do we have, I mean, we usually match for our unrepresented, I mean, how does this work?
That includes, that assumption
So-
includes for,
In
Everyone.
every year that I have been here, the, all employees have gotten the same COLA.
so this financial assumes that you will take that action as well, this financial plan.
Right,
But
for
they're-
the unrepresented and all currently open contracts.
And what are the currently open contracts that are,
Everything except for the sheriff
Yeah,
deputies and
We
corrections.
have everybody else.
they're in the midst of negotiation, or that's for 2023?
We're in the midst of negotiation.
Okay,
They're at the table now.
so this is in a sense a kind of a guesstimate.
It is.
And that's what, a baseline assumption.
Right.
Okay.
And if they negotiate for higher than this, then you will have the choice in the First Amendment to fund some or all of anything above this.
But Robin and I and HR will do our best not to bring a contract that has a detrimental financial effect.
And maybe like, and that's where we're talking about focusing on the bonus of a strategy versus the
Right.
COLAs versus the.
So right now, this includes a 2.5% COLA and a $1,000 bonus coming out of, and the bonus is coming out of ARPA. Lost revenue. All right, everybody's good with that? Could we have finished this packet, or we just have some small stuff? Oh, pretrial services. Go ahead.
The request, and my apologies, they didn't make it to the formal documentation. I've been working on reassessing the MOU with pretrial services to bring more of a department within the commissioner's office. And that provides an opportunity to enhance the department in the long term, some of the activities. The result of that is we need to bring the director position to the same level as the rest of the directors that we have in terms of the salary. That is the request.
Which means, how much is that?
I think we are off by 40,000, I believe.
Yeah.
So I get it, but we haven't done that yet. We haven't made pretrial services a department yet.
I have the last version of the MOU, sent it to the stakeholders for final review. We have a meeting here in a week, and I'm hopeful it will be approved, which essentially does that.
So
So
what's
that's
the,
coming quickly.
Yeah, I have been working on this for over a year.
so what's the cost?
It'd be about 40,000 a year, roughly.
And what's that 40,000 for
The salary of the director.
director's salary? Sorry, I don't know how I just.
The director's salary.
Blanked on that.
So we bring it apart to the directors.
So if I add them in, the graph's still right there.
I think,
How many FTE are
That would be-
direct?
Yeah, I think she has close to 8, but as you may remember, we also add to her portfolio the management of the hub,
the resource.
the resource hub, and that was a not-on responsibility, which, that's at least in line as to what I perceive in the long term that the department should be evolving to. I can't
I got one thumbs
really
up.
verbalize this.
I thought that you were, we haven't really talked, I don't remember speaking about this. You and I have spoken about it. I don't remember the board
The
discussing
board
it.
has not discussed.
It's probably worth hinting that I think that the idea is that by making this a separate department and standalone from its current structure, it could take on more functionality of various
I
sorts.
think it will create the opportunity to look at the overall system and how we can incorporate efficiencies within the system. This department will be responsible to them.
Okay, thumbs, yes. 2, 3, thumbs up. All right. Very good. Then I'm gonna work through this short list.
You always have another short.
I know, how many?
I know. No, this is the last thing you need to do, and then we're done.
What is the?
This is the short list of things that we did not know about. They're unanticipated, if you will. These truly are unanticipated. Didn't know about it at the time the budget was due.
Okay.
All right, so offices and departments have contacted us and said, hey, I just found out.
The
So-
number is 25A. It's inside of 1024 budget work session. Commissioner Edwards, you have the sheet too, Robin, if you wouldn't
It's a
mind.
little,
So what number is it?
25A.
I just have a 25.
Yeah, and it says 1026, it was updated.
Oh, it's on today's?
Yep, no, it's on 1024 and 1024 budget.
That is just me.
I only have a 25, I don't have a 25. Oh, thank you.
ready? Okay, so the assessor had requested that he purchase audio-visual equipment for the atrium. And he was gonna do it out of his fund balance. You also have the financial plan for the assessor. He had plenty of appropriation authority to do that. But given the delay in the building being completed and supply chain issues with AV equipment, it won't arrive until next year. So he is asking that we reduce this year's budget by $25,500 and add that to next year. It's just a carry forward item, and it will not affect the general fund. It's one time.
Why can't the equipment he has in the conference room now be transferred over to the atrium?
He has said that technology is outdated and will not serve in his new conference room. And I told IT if he doesn't take that, I want it. Because I thought it was quite nice. But he's gonna buy
We're
it.
taking this equipment,
I mean,
so.
He's reducing this budget,
I don't know enough about it to comment.
rolling forward one time. It's a reasonable request. He's still gonna revert $150,000.
So it's still.
but why not take the old equipment and if, once they're there, they can budget for it next year, I mean, like, and see what their reversion date, like, is going to be next year. I don't know, beginning conversation of the atrium was, this is to do the immediate needs, not wants.
That's why it's not coming out of the project budget.
And I understand there's been a lot of delays with the atrium. I completely get that, and
He has said that he cannot absorb it in next year's budget.
And the other stuff doesn't fit?
That's what he's stating.
Didn't we say no to the same request from CPAD?
yeah.
We did.
You said no to new AV for CPED. They were not requesting to roll forward money for this year. And you said no because it was coming out of a fund that can't afford any additional expenditures that you're needing to bail out.
But there was another, they had two requests, and one of them was from a fund, it was a storm and,
It was fine, but it would have participated in the purchase of equipment for the rooms.
so.
One thumb up, one thumb down. It's up to you, Commissioner Edwards.
No, I'm gonna go with the chair.
I'm sure you'll be getting a call from Stephen, but okay,
I won't.
that's a no. That's all right, that's your prerogative.
That's
All right, so item number 2 is to, again, roll funding over. This is in Conservation Futures. They were working on a land purchase that they thought would close in 2022, but it is now not going to close until next year. So they are asking to take $922,000 that was authorized in 22, carry it forward to 23.
And that's for the HCP, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any problem, I guess, with that, but is that a typo where it says, currently working on a land purchase that will close in 2022?
They thought it would close
It
in,
should have closed in
Yes,
2022.
should have.
And they're hoping to be able to do it 23.
Right.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm okay with it.
That's
So
the
one
comments.
thumb up, 1, 2, 3 thumbs up. That's a yes.
Did I see your Commissioner?
Yeah.
She's
Gianna,
hiding
thumb up.
behind her screen.
Number 3 is the money for the meat packing feasibility study. We have spent none of this. We haven't seen a bill. We expect we'll see the bills
I
next
just
year.
signed the local agreement, so that will be a carryover expenditures for
Yep.
next year.
We'll reduce 35 this year. We'll add 35 to next year to be able to pay our share.
Okay.
1, 2, 3 thumbs up. Excellent. Number 4 is also a carry forward. It is personnel costs under the American Rescue Plan. This was for, remind me again what this is?
This is a technical adjustment because when we did 22, courts had, they were showing the appropriation in 1940, plus it was showing the appropriation in the big bucket, so we had to even it out.
I don't know what that means, so.
Thought I knew what this
That, was that clear? I'm just trying to be,
It's a technical fix.
This is.
We were double counting expenditures.
So why aren't we
What
just,
are we added the expenditures in 2023?
why are we rolling anything forward if we're double counting?
It made it negative and I'd have to show you the bill
Oh,
lines.
this is an accounting entry.
Yeah.
This is strictly an accounting entry.
so we don't have to do anything on this?
You just have to tell us that we can do it. Just say yes, please. Because we gotta fix the lines in Munis.
Yeah, this was like one of the very first things they made me do and I didn't know. I just didn't know anything. They did, they're like, do this, okay, I don't know what this means.
Yeah, none of this affects the general fund. Well, if I could find where my mouse was.
This doesn't mean we have an extra 1.5 somewhere?
No, sadly. So item number 5 is a capital reappropriation. This just rolls money into next year to spend on the solid waste.
Flare station.
Yep, the flare station. Just roll it forward. Just say
Never
yes.
going away.
It's never going away.
SCADA and flare
That's,
station items since the day I
Yeah.
joined the board.
It's not
I've been
additional
trying to
money,
make
it's
electricity out of
here.
this stuff for the whole
And-
time.
Yeah, that's right, you always ask.
And
Moving
leaching.
on.
Don't forget about the
Jeez.
The sand check's finished.
Yeah.
Robert.
Don't forget.
Robin.
Item number 6 is also a capital reappropriation. It moves money out of 22 into 20. Oh no, it moves money out of 23, pulling it forward into 22 because they are able to do this project sooner than they
Tomorrow?
anticipated.
Really?
It'll basically be tomorrow, you know, I don't know how they're
So
gonna
this is
spend
bringing it back.
100,000 in 3 weeks,
Okay.
but they're moving money forward.
Expedited.
And it doesn't help
Yep,
us a bit.
expedited, thumbs
Doesn't
up.
help us all in the room, in
Nope.
general fund. huh?
It's Tamashan Reserve and REIT 2, thumbs up, thumbs 1, 2, and 3. And then also moving from this year to next year for the Marvin Road Upgrade Phase 2 project because the timeline's being adjusted. Thumbs up, 1, 2, 3, thank you. Then we have maintenance level request. The first is the ongoing cost for the forensic pathologist. This does have impact to the general fund of $11,000. It's a salary adjustment for the coroner.
Even though
I
we,
thought we did.
I thought we fixed it, but apparently it didn't get fixed in 23 to this amount. This is an HR,
okay, so
Well, then we already decided that.
say
we've
yes.
already done it,
You're
right?
Maintenance
Yeah.
level, just say yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Item number 9, if you were to approve this, would impact the general fund. The Washington State Citizens Commission on Salaries for Elected Officials has increased the budget for judges. And the court asks that the court commissioner position salaries be increased in a commensurate amount, and that will cost you $15,000 a year
As an
higher.
85 percentile of judges' salaries.
Yep,
And that's what they've been,
yes,
So
there,
if you maintain the 85 percentile, this is increase.
I have a question,
Mhm.
because we had this on a consent item agenda earlier this year. And I'm wondering, why was that one in a consent agenda item and then this one's as a midterm budget adjustment?
Well, you
Because
consented to
you
the
only approve for-
salary.
You only approve for 2022.
You approved the salary range, you didn't approve the budget to pay for it.
Okay.
So thumbs, 1, 2, 3 thumbs up. Item number 10 is for the GO bond payments related to the bonds that we just issued. We need approval to make the payments out of the funds that were established and to make the first bond payment out of REIT.
First, which payment out of the REIT?
The first year's payment out of REIT because we'll have to make the first loan payment. It's basically a loan. The bond, if you think of bond money as a loan, we have to make the first payment next year.
Oh, this is sometime for next year.
Yes, this
This
is
isn't
next year.
anything new, this is
This
just
is nothing new, we
Nothing
did some maintenance
executing
thing.
what we decided to do.
That's correct. Thumbs up.
I guess.
Yeah, those are the
One,
mechanics
two.
of some of the decisions
Commissioner
we're
Mejia.
taking.
Thank you. Number 11 is the LTAC, and you have the financial plan for the Stadium Convention Center. I know it's a weird title, it's for the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee. And what you see in this financial plan is a steadily growing fund balance. We didn't make any awards, or there weren't any tourism activity in 2020, and we made no awards in 21. There's projected spending of $75,000 this year, but the other thing we saw was revenue has gone up in an extreme amount for this fund. It's basically doubled. So we have a fund balance that had been hovering around 50,000 has now grown to 226,000. I am recommending, you currently have 50,000 appropriated for 23. I am recommending that that be increased to 100,000 to award in 2023. And then when I come back for next biennium, I'll have recommendations for increased amounts in future years.
So how does this fit with what we got presented for Olympia and Beyond?
Olympia and Beyond is the tourism promotion tax. That's a completely different tax. The TPA, Tourism Promotion Area, that goes to the VCB, 100%, is $2 per head in hotels that have at least 50 rooms.
Okay.
And all of them are in the incorporated area. The Stadium and Convention Center tax, which can only be used in, as recommended by the LTAC committee, the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, in ways that will increase tourism in the county, is a $2 per bed night on all properties in the unincorporated area.
So things like the Tenino Young and Hard Theater would qualify?
Oh, the
Would be the
The
recipient.
venue.
grant.
Yeah, the
When
recipient
you
of the
do awards, the awards can be anywhere in the county, including the incorporated areas, but the tax is taken from unincorporated Thurston County.
Why
That's
is
what it- where you see-
unincorporated taxes doubling?
What you receive is Airbnbs.
Airbnbs, I think.
That, yep,
That's
Yeah,
probably
not-
where you
not-
see the increase.
it's that type of
Yeah.
transient, short-term rentals.
Because all the registered Airbnbs.
Is this one of these kind of awards where it's like $5,000 each or something?
Yeah,
Are
we've
these
had
the
them be
ones where we-
small amounts.
Can we increase those or?
You certainly can,
Alright.
yes. So I recommend 100,000 next year. That doesn't even put a dent in the fund balance. And for the biennium budget, the ensuing biennium, I will come in with a recommendation for a new structure to the program.
Because that money can't be spent anywhere else, would there be any benefit to making that, because it doesn't affect general fund or anything else,
Correct.
would there be any benefit to making that 150 just in case? And the reason I say just in case, it still is not gonna knock the fund down that much, still 75,000.
You absolutely
So
could
left.
put it at 150 and
And-
not make a dent.
And more than likely, we're gonna have a continuation of the Airbnb activity. Cause I think that's where most of it is.
Highly likely.
But
So,
did you say it can only be spent in the unincorporated community?
No, it can be
But it
spent
can only
anywhere.
be spent on these certain dedicated activities, like we spent some
Be for
tonight,
tourism.
when we
No,
were in
and you,
here.
for instance, you have funding,
We did Olympia or something.
events,
Yeah.
in Lacey,
Tumwater.
Olympia, Tumwater, you have the word of those grants.
Right,
I get confused by all those different ones.
right. So
I would just propose that we make it 150,
Raise it
just to
to
make sure.
150.
Yeah, that
We've
sounds
got-
to me.
great.
150, yeah.
So we'll add 100,000 to next year. And it will be the most robust program that this fund has ever seen.
We'll see if we receive
When I got here
applications.
in 2010, the revenue in this fund was around $14,000. Now it's almost 100. It's
Yeah.
insane.
But Airbnb is that's the culprit.
And short-term rentals, yep, short-term transient rentals. Next, in the policy level requests, you have the, this is a request for general fund. It is for a grant, so it is 100% grant funded for district court. And it is related to the case backlog, but district court is getting a grant from the AOC, so it would add 30,000 in 22, 290,000 in 23, and revenue would cover the entire amount. So there's no reason to say no. Yes, yes, and yes. Then, we're on page 4. This is the transfer of the Lake Management District, and we've already gone through this. This is a no,
Not there yet.
right? Not yet. Then you have 3 external budget requests. Number 14 is $100,000 for the Washington Center for Performing Arts. They're requesting $100,000. And I would suggest that you could say yes if you want to out of ARPA.
Yeah.
Because it's an impacted industry.
Out of
It's
ARPA?
out of ARPA.
It's
Yeah.
out of ARPA.
ARPA, not the general fund.
Definitely a community asset. I
Yes?
just not gonna go general. fund.
Okay.
Yeah.
3 say yes from ARPA. Number 15 is the Olympia School District has asked for $25,000 out of your stormwater utility fund for an environmental literacy grant. They would establish an outdoor classroom and work on restoring some land. $25,000 from the stormwater fund.
And tell me this, is the land to be used as a filter or something like that? What's,
I don't know anything about this.
No, it's,
what's the benefit to stormwater?
So it's really near the headwater of Green Cove watershed. And it's the back slope side of Marshall Middle School. And so it's right next to the school, so they can use it, like, they can get the kids working there and learn about it. It's educational, but it'll also help, you know, that very impacted watershed. So that's kind of the synergy of how it was explained to me.
and the stormwater has a very robust educational component, as you know.
That's why we were kind of directing it towards stormwater.
I didn't know they had that. I thought they were just for doing ditches and stuff. Okay.
Okay, so this is a 3 thumbs up for the Olympia School District.
It's not up to the general fund, that's.
Yes, so yes. And then the last item on this list is the Park Foundation, PARC, is requesting $20,000. And they can't come back in, when was it, Patty, November of 21?
November 4th of 2021.
Could you explain what their request was to the board? Patty, you
Yeah.
just recently watched the video.
There were 3 of the individuals who showed up, but it was Jim Chamber, James Reddick, and Beth, and I didn't catch her last name.
Dolio.
Huh?
Dolio.
Beth Dolio.
They were part of a 501c3. They were talking about a pass-through of grants in order to help the parks program. At the time, what the board had said is they would like to see what benefit it was to the county overall. There was a recommendation that they talk to parks and then have a follow-up, either with Romero or the Parks Department, and then ultimately with you.
Never.
And they never, the follow-up did not occur, that we are aware of.
But as of late, that initial request was $10,000. I think they revised and requested.
It went from 20 to 10?
No,
10 to 20.
they asked for 10 a year ago, and now they're asking for 20.
Well, can you give me an example? I mean, that's pretty vague, I guess, you know.
It was,
Is this from the brewery, like the?
No.
No. Park Foundation is like, they act as like fiscal agent for like a lot of small communities, like getting grant money and helping like capacity, you know, for, I mean, this is the best as I've been able to understand it. They are able to help you access grants and manage them. I mean, for smaller communities, it's really valuable because who may not have staffing or departments to do it, and they can get money brought. I mean, it's shown to more than pay for itself in terms of what they bring in, but for Thurston County, we had some questions about it.
And the reason is because I want to be respectful of their request. But my humble perspective, I'm with you. I cannot give you a tangible outcome of that investment.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
I cannot.
It's out of general fund too. If it was out of something
It's out of
else.
general fund.
yes.
I have, before we just close this, I do have some notes on my desk, just in case they happen to trigger anything in my brain.
Because I'm trying to remember.
So it was.
I keep thinking
this
back on the
MOU,
brewery.
and what it does, this
Yeah,
20,000 pays
that was
for labor administrative. There's really nothing tangible. The result of that is you invest in that and with, we're gonna use this word very softly, with the hope that they'll get a grant from them, or they facilitate a grant, because they don't have any money. There's just the,
There's kind of a grant writing group or something
yeah,
like that.
but, we have a robust grant writers and it works.
Ramiro, you and I, when we talked about this, and it's been quite a while, I know the thing that we wanted to see, and I think it was on my desk for many months and now it's somehow disappeared, was we wanted to see the actual, like, legal instrument that they had, because they've got agreements with Lacey, Olympia, and Tumwater.
I sent that.
And we were hoping that would answer our question, like to see what it is, what were their deliverables in the contract, what did they agree to do and not do? And we were circulating it.
Document, and I couldn't.
But they didn't come back to give us a final pitch or follow-up or anything?
I don't recall follow-up, that doesn't mean
I
it
mean,
didn't
I
happen.
I wanna do things that have enthusiasm, but general fund, if it was something besides general fund, I'd be a little more receptive to it. I'm not against arts or whatever they've got going on, it's.
I think it's, well, I guess for the name, I would think it would be about parks.
Parks and Recreation
It is
stuff.
about
Yeah.
parks.
That's why I was curious, because we're so, we're looking for every avenue possible to improve our resources for parks. That's why I had curiosity.
I'd rather
about it,
give
but-
this 20,000 to our parks people to do better on whatever, sweeping, getting that piece of equipment, the czar talked about last night.
All right, the big blower.
Yeah, I mean, if that would do something, I mean, that sounds like that is something that, is gonna create a tangible benefit.
Which reminds me, we need to limit the Zoom.
public testimony cannot share their screen. Because that seems to be a little bit an open invitation for others to share screen with other stuff. So
Oh, I
need to work-
noticed that. That
He's done it
was,
twice.
I was.
He's the only one that's had it.
He's probably pretty sharp on the computer.
So I need
He just
to-
does it before
which
we even
reminds
know it's
me-
happening.
So I think that is a dangerous path.
Didn't he say him?
Somebody can share other stuff.
He said Karen, he means his partner's Karen Messmer.
Oh, I thought Karen Fraser.
Well, he mentioned the Karen Fraser Trail, I caught that too, and he's like,
Oh.
Karen and I were just on a,
Oh, yeah,
and it
okay.
made it sound like it was Karen Fraser.
Okay.
but
Well, I
I'm
thought
sure he means
maybe-
Karen Messmer.
Oh, because Karen was real active in.
Yeah, no, but yeah, they're a
There are a couple.
couple, so they,
Oh, okay.
and they're both big into bikes and
Yeah, big
trails.
time. You receive a lot of feedback when we close the trail to do the Latigo trail.
I remember that, yeah.
So I got here like I guess a fundraising email from the Park Foundation.
We had that, but we got a contract.
We have in the email, can you look at the email?
MOU.
Yeah, but it's, I.
You have it?
I have the MOU, yes, I've drafted that.
How long is it?
Just,
Cause it's something I could
pages?
scan in a couple minutes.
17 pages.
Yeah, it's 12 pages.
and that's a proposed MOU with,
Park Foundation and the county.
oh,
They drafted.
they've even got a MOU draft.
So
Cause they've
this,
got ones with Tumwater and Lacey.
this
I
one,
see.
it's like, we are collaborating with the city of Yelm on a state recreation grant application to convert the existing railroad bridge across the river. Yelm received some grant funding for this project in 2020 and might have gotten the full amount if its application had received a slightly higher score. That's where your generosity comes in. So,
We had a presentation on that. like-
So it's a fundraiser
so that's,
organization.
so that's kind of,
Yeah.
So how, I guess, like circling back, like what would be the benefit for Thurston County? Would they help us write the grants, or are they like, if you don't get fully granted, are they going to be doing outreach to community members and be like, will you?
I have a good idea. If they can get us the money to pave that section between, Great,
Gate Trail.
that one longer section.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
If they can get us the money to do that, let's give it to them.
So are they basically lobbyists on
They're
behalf of
lobbyists,
the-
they're fundraisers.
So it's like a foundation.
It is.
But
It is
It's like the
foundation.
Fair Foundation.
It is a foundation.
Yeah, it is a
There you
foundation.
go.
But is there some other fund besides general fund that
No,
we
there
could
is
take it out?
not. There is no other
But if
fund.
we could get something like that paving job, I'd do it, you know, but I'm not there yet without knowing what we'll write you a grant about this that, give me 50% chance I'm gonna get something, but.
Can we write back to them and be like,
Can we get, I mean, James Reddick, I've met with him twice, I feel kind of embarrassed, cause it's been a year, I think I met with him 2019 and maybe 2021.
Well, somehow they came here once.
And so,
November of 21.
I mean, if we gave him 5 or 10 minutes at the end of the Tuesday morning or something to just
I'd be
give a
fine.
pitch, like that would, just to refresh our memory as to what
yeah,
they say they can deliver for us.
I can work with Thomasina.
That might be really useful, the board could feel better
I
about
just-
saying yes or no.
yeah, cause I don't know what this is, like, and I'm probably just missing a huge piece of my memory where we discussed this.
Yeah.
But I would like to know kind of like, you know, a refresher on what they do, and then with the request of 20,000, you know, what would be the benefit that Thurston County would get from this, and
I wanna say they've got MOUs with Olympia, Lacey, and Tumwater. It might just be 2 of those, but
it
I think it's
appears
all
with
3.
Yelm too now, them as well.
I don't
yeah.
think Lacey has one.
Okay, maybe just Olympia and Tumwater.
Well, Yelm,
Um,
Yeah,
definitely.
okay.
My suggestion is for you to consider
Tabling that.
approving this, but you don't have to sign the MOU. So it's general fund, it will, if you don't sign an MOU next year, it goes back to the end of fund balance.
So that gives us a latitude.
Because you have latitude,
I'm
So,
okay
and
with
this
that.
is a one-time item?
one time.
And I'd wanna know, frankly, I'd wanna know if they were asking for 10, why are we,
No,
why is
Yes,
it double?
but if you can make a preliminary decision, say, okay? And then we'll give you the latitude. If you don't feel comfortable next year, you don't have to sign the
And it
document.
just said in the general funds,
Just
in
says in the general.
non-departmental.
So by you
Okay.
consider this, you're not committing.
I can say that, I guess, but I would like to have them, it doesn't, I guess it doesn't have to be right away.
That's up to you right away.
Okay, I'm saying yes from all three of you to a one-time from the general fund, and you will meet with them before we,
With the proof,
Under
Go forward.
duress.
Yep.
with the, kind of the conditions that have been
Right.
laid out, that
right. That is this whole list. Okay, one last time.
Oh, one last one.
One for the service time, I'm gonna share my screen
Another short list.
because there is one last thing that I think you wanted to see. Where? Come on,
one
share.
last,
Alright,
never.
so here's where we sit. The unanticipated item that you just approved is 20,
That affect the general fund.
right,
That's what you're doing.
but it's only one time, so you're sitting right here and it's negligible.
You can see it.
Right, you don't even see a change for that. So if you were, the last thing I need from you is whether or not I'm putting the 1% property tax increase in. If you were to say no to that, the 1% is worth approximately $450,000. That's what that looks like.
I'm not in favor of it.
You are not in favor of the 1%?
No.
So I have one thumbs down, one thumb up. Commissioner Mejia, it's down to you.
Oh, yay.
Should have voted earlier.
So I don't wanna make matters more complicated. If a 3% cost of living increase is on this scenario, you will deal even longer, even more.
Well, I'm looking at it from a total package. I can give you a lot of rhetoric on why, but we'd be here till 6 o'clock, so.
And I understand that, right? I understand the inflation rate right now and, and that break to citizens.
That's without the 1%.
So when you say without the 1%, you just mean without the 1% this year, but assuming it's there for every future year? Or you-
Yes. It just backs it out of the current year and it brings the whole base down on which you
But then,
apply a 1%.
but it
all
only
future
even looks
years
that
are-
good if we continue to do it.
Mhm.
If you were to say, I don't support 1% as a general proposition.
Ever, then I'd have to do a whole different kind of a calculation and you would be in the red instantly. Yeah, this only takes it out of the 2023. So that's without the 1%. That's with the 1%.
I feel like this is another thing where we don't really have a choice. I mean, for me, what I'm thinking about, like, I wanna give taxpayers that break. It's been hard economical year. But as the market study comes through, it's the impact that the county's going to have as a whole. Because I feel like that market study is going to be pretty rough and
I think we're headed into some real hard times. That's just where I'm It's not being talked about, I would guess for political reasons.
That's what it looks like without it.
I don't really see it as a choice. I mean, with the markets, even if we don't do it, we're already dipping a little bit below the line, more than I'm comfortable with, honestly.
So I mean, the alternative is to find $450,000 in ongoing costs that you would not do. And I don't think you, other than those things that you all felt compelled to do, there's not a fluff 450 in here.
I was like, we didn't fund really, we did the bare minimum of what we had to do.
You know, when we did the transfer from one fund to another,
3% cost of living.
If there were a 3% COLA, it would look like that.
well, we did, what did we do? 2.5 million worth or something? What was the dollar amount on the transfer between general fund and ARPA for that after the March hiring date or whatever it was? You know, you might find that when you review that, because that was a kind of a rough estimate, maybe there's something there.
No, that number can only go down. I'm confident that we captured all the total possible amount. And once we do the scrub, if we find that many of those positions were paid with other federal funds or other state money,
Okay.
we won't be able to claim them. So I think you've maxed that out.
The state doesn't limit itself to 1%
No.
increase.
No, the state does not.
And if the
No, they
taxpayers
excuse
need
themselves.
relief, the state should provide it.
That's exactly right, but we only,
On our
but
backs.
they, the taxpayers, get this horrendous bill, we get 1%
Right.
max. And schools, fire, state, library, hospital, or whatever, I mean, the list is ongoing. We're the ones that are stuck on the whole
Right, and
thing.
we're stuck and we have to pay our employees.
And we've already hit them for, let's say this year, for an easy 5 million, and that's on the 1/10 of 1% for the home fund. And I just don't believe that's the tactic. I'm just voting on principle. I know we need it.
Sure, I get it.
So include the 1%. I see a thumbs up from you, a thumbs down from you, and I see a thumbs up.
So
From
when
Commissioner
it comes to the.
Doing it under duress.
There you
When
go.
it comes to the approval of the revenue ordinance, I think we need to separate this,
We need to do what?
have a separate ordinance related to the 1% resolution.
That's fine.
Exercise vote.
So
We've done that before, I think.
I don't know how.
How we can, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that because the state law dictates the construction of that resolution. I don't have any latitude
Okay,
in how
let's see,
that's
because,
structured.
It happened in 2019,
Um,
2-1 vote on 1%.
I thought
well,
so.
you can have a 2-to-1
On the-
vote on the levy
On
increase,
the,
but
on
I,
the revenue, on the revenue resolution.
The bridge advisory.
yes, that's, so
You go
let's
12 on-
look at it.
Yeah.
But
County
I
state
don't
has
think I
those.
can separate that.
Oh,
I'm not
I
getting it.
think
Common
that I
sense doesn't
can, they
work in the
can
government.
make a motion and say yay or nay to the 1%, and then I have to do the resolution in a total. Because again,
Yeah.
state
So
law
let's
says
talk about
exactly what has to be in that resolution.
Whatever we did in 2019 is what we'll have to do. Same thing happened. I mean,
Wasn't 2019 had the IPD, it was a less than 1% inflation. And so I had to come with approval to do 1%
because we.
at all, because without that, the maximum increase would have been less than 1%.
Right. So that was.
That was different. Yeah, and that has to be done on a separate.
I mean, just to be respectful of the vote that just occurred, see how we can facilitate that.
Figure it out. Okay. Good job. Good job, commissioners,
Good job.
and wonderful job, staff, and for everyone who's watching, all the county staff, fabulous work across the county.
Yeah,
This is hard stuff.
thank
And the
you.
budget
This is not about winners or losers. It's just about the board striking a balance based on the current financial situation.
It is 3:45 PM. Thank you to the budget team so very much as you heard us through the different conversation pieces. Definitely appreciate you crunching all the numbers and collecting all the information we needed. We are adjourned.